Hello YouTubers, Zombie reporting in from Zombie Nation. In this video, I'll go over my personal top 8 tips and tricks, so let's get into it. Alright guys, and we're back. As stated in the beginning of this video, this is going to be a tips and tricks video. There are 8 tips and tricks, and I like to do my tips and tricks in order of importance. These are just, once again, personal opinions to me and what I've used to be successful in the dark zone, and hopefully something you might now be able to use to be successful in the dark zone. So without ado, let's get right into it here. So tip number 8, create a build to suit your playstyle. Find a niche. Are you wanting to solo or group PvP? Are you wanting to be a glass cannon? Are you wanting to be tanky? Are you wanting high skill power for those really juicy one-shot sticky BFBs? Find a playstyle you like. Find a niche. Don't just do what everyone else is doing because it's the strongest thing. Just do what you want to do. You're gonna have way more fun playing the way you want to play, and honestly you'll probably be a better player. You're gonna learn your playstyle inside and out, and who knows, maybe your playstyle is one of those that'll counter that ridiculous 300k SMG glass cannon builds, right? Like, you never know until you try. Don't just build on what everyone else is saying on YouTube, because honestly, you're not them, they're not you, and what works for them might not work for you. So find a playstyle you like and just create a build around that. Tip number 7, commit to fights. Now, I noticed a lot of people don't do this. Now, if you're rogue or not rogue, being attacked by rogues, commit to the fight. Don't ever turn your back and run. In my experience, running has only ever gotten me killed 9 times out of 10. If I'm rogue, I usually run into another group running away. I'll run into a group that's coming down the road, and it's just commit to your fights, kill the people that are trying to kill you, run after the fight, try to hide if you're rogue, or run after the fight is over. If you've killed a bunch of rogues, go up a DZ or go down a DZ, or run to the safe house to kill them again, right? But don't run till the fight is over, because honestly, you're gonna die anyway if you run, especially if you're rogue. You may have one squad chasing you, but you know what, I guarantee you there's 4 of them. You just can't see the other 3, and they're coming from all angles, and it's just, the more you run, the more area of the map you're giving people to find you, and you're letting people, like, it's just more area to let people know you're in there. It just brings in more people, so just commit to your fights. If you die, that's okay, because dying is a part of PvP, and honestly, I learn a lot dying, like what works and what doesn't work. Dying is a very crucial part of PvP in this game, in my opinion. Number 6, for the solo players, try to fight people in bot camps. For group PvPers, if you're rogue or being chased by rogues, try to pull people through a bot boss camp. Bots are a great way to slow down chasing players, but they also provide great teammates so long as you don't shoot them or shoot around them. The reason why I say that is because the enemies that are chasing you, those players' gunfire alone will pull the bots off you with threat just by shooting, which gives you a tactical advantage to run away or time to reposition for an ambush, or you may even want to turn and just go fight them, because maybe the bots are just destroying these guys. But if you are going to turn and fight, make sure you keep something between you and the bots, because your gunfire will also pull bots onto you. Number 5, grenades. Now, grenades can turn the tide of battle very easily and extremely efficiently. Especially the CC types that apply status effects, like your incendiary grenades, your shocks, your EMPs, your disorientate. Incendiary grenades, just for the people that don't know, it makes it so you can't shoot, you can't cast abilities, you can't sprint, making your enemy or you a very easy target to pick off. I like to throw on incendiary ammo when I'm chasing people to take away that ability to sprint. The Airburst Seeker Mine is a great alternative to the Incendiary Grenades, seeing as your Seeker Mines actually move faster than people, so they can catch up. They can also bounce over and under, like over cars and over covers as well. The Shock Status effect, well, it will essentially stun you, rendering you a useless piece of fucking shit for what seems like almost for like fucking hours. The shock turret is a great alternative to the shock grenades, and honestly, I'd probably recommend just using a shock turret if you're wanting to get the shock effect, as that turret will shoot multiple times at multiple enemies, rendering all of them useless sacks of shit for what seems like fucking hours. Anyways, EMPs, the EMP will stop your ability to cast abilities, essentially. It lasts a lot longer than the other status effects, but it doesn't take your ability to run or shoot or do anything else, pop medkits. You can't use your abilities, and if you had, let's say, a shock turret that got hit by the EMP as well, or you hit someone else's shock turret with your EMP, it's gonna render that shock turret useless until that wears off. And yeah, it also scrambles the player's HUD, the enemy player's HUD, so it makes it a little more difficult to aim, and it kind of makes the HUD really shaky, and just, yeah, it's just not fun sometimes. The other grenades, Flash and Concussion, I don't really use them much. The Flash grenades, because you can still be seen by, like, through a Flash grenade, like, through the like, white screen by pulse, so if they have you pulse, they'll actually still be able to see your, like, character, and they'll still be able to shoot at you. And I've killed a few guys pulsed, and yeah. I don't really want to use it. It's just, it seems like a waste of a grenade when I could be throwing an Incendiary, a Shock, an EMP, or something like that. And then the concussion grenades, so like the ones that cause like the disorientate concussion effect, like the tear gas for instance. I don't use those because there's no real CC effect with it except for like a slight slow and like a little bit of like a screen effect and like kind of like a weird camera. But it's really easy to run out of it, and the status effect doesn't last long once you're out. So once again, I just feel like there's better grenades I can throw. Which brings us to number 4. Medkits, 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 and our overdose first aid. So with our overdose first aid, you're going to want to fight in your heal bubble. So you're going to want to roll in and out of your heal. If you do this, you can heal yourself with probably a full overheal twice for sure. 3 times if you're quick. You're going to want to do this, like, you're going to want to pop it, shoot, roll out, maybe take a shot, roll back in, roll the other way, and then roll back in, and you'll be able to heal yourself multiple times off of one cast. For our medkits, you're going to want to save your medkits for your last health segment, especially if you use critical save. I use my medkits in between my first aid heal. So if my first aid's on cooldown, I'll use my medkits. If it's not on cooldown, I'll always use my actual first aid. If you run out of medkits, Rogue, I highly recommend picking up the medkits you find on the ground in the red first aid packs. And my last tip with medkits is don't use them on bosses unless you're gonna absolutely for sure die and you don't have a heal. Try to save your medkits for player engagements. Tip number 3, the cover system. Now, I don't usually go into cover, but I will still hide behind it. The reason I do this is because it actually gives me an advantage if I stand back off the cover. The enemy will still have to pop out if they are behind cover, which I can start shooting immediately, where he needs to wait or she needs to wait for their max accuracy to like come in, right? That initial stability there, that initial accuracy. If they're popping up, and I'm just standing back looking at them with like an M1A, let's say like around a sign or a car, and I'm just peeking out, I'm going to be able to headshot him 2 or 3 times, and he's probably not even going to be able to have a chance to aim at me. So he'll pop up, he'll take a shot off the dome, and then he may drop down, and if he just keeps popping up, well, you're going to kill him. And if he keeps popping down and doesn't want to move off that cover, brings me to another part of the cover system is people in PvP usually rush you, and especially if you're outnumbered. So staying in cover is a surefire way of getting surrounded and killed. I've never had good experience using cover, even with the smart cover system. I've always been surrounded, I've always been killed. Alright, tip number 2 brings us to headshots. Headshots are huge in this game. If you don't get a headshot, you may as well just miss. Headshots proc a lot of the talents and abilities as well. So like a couple of them, cool-headed, you get cooldown reduction for every headshot. It's about like 3 or 5% if you have Caduceus. One is none, you 50% chance on headshot to not consume a bullet. Really strong for shotguns and that kind of thing. 4 out of 6 Century Call gear, right? You get your 15% damage per headshot up to a stack of 3 for a total of 45% increased damage from all sources, which could be those bots you just pulled them through 10 seconds ago. And then Precision is the one where is a talent where if you headshot someone you pulse them, and that's really strong too. But those are just a couple. Obviously headshots do a lot more damage too. Which brings us to our tip number 1, and probably our most important tip, and the one tip that has made my PvP the most successful, and that is movement. Okay, so you always gotta roll. If you see in my videos, I'm always rolling, I'm always moving. The enemy cannot kill what they can't hit. Run in zigzags down the street if you're getting shot at. I like to roll into enemies shooting at me. I find that if I'm close to people within a few feet and I'm rolling around, it makes it a lot harder to hit me on a player perspective, but it also works against the game mechanic as well, that with the auto aim, if you're rolling around and you're really close to people, the auto aim is not going to work well for them. They're not going to be able to just pull up their sights on you and start shooting, because the auto aim is going to track off almost instantly. So you're kind of working against the game mechanic there as well. And yeah, just like try to keep space between you and other people, movement, positioning, be spatially aware. That's the biggest tip I can give you guys: when to start fighting, when to not fight, when to engage, when to not engage. Just the general movement you have in PvP. If you're kiting around a mailbox, or rolling behind a car, or rolling in circles in a street, or I don't know, right? I don't know. Just whatever you're doing, movement is super huge. Another thing with movement, always try to keep the people you're fighting against in front of you. If you see someone running around for the flank, immediately move and reposition yourself so that the entire squad is always in front of you. You never want someone coming up on your back, because they'll burn you down so fast and you won't even see them. Another honorable mention we can put in this video is let the other players blow their cooldowns first. What I mean by that is their heals, their signature abilities, that kind of thing. If you see a signature ability drop to survival link, attack link, or something like that, just run around something. Even if you have maybe 1.5 like health segments and they're in a full overheal, just try to get something between you and them, some sort of obstacle. If it's a road barrier, if it's a car, if it's a mailbox or a bus stop, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just try to make sure that whatever you're running around is taking bullets and not you, and it's not going through and hitting you. When their cooldowns are over, that is when you can now take advantage of their temporary vulnerability, pop all your cooldowns and burn them, and you're gonna win that fight almost every time. I hope this video helped you guys with your PvP. Drop a like and a subscribe, and I will see you guys later. This is Zombie reporting out from Zombie Nation.